Coming up on today's show, with the Major League Baseball trade deadline coming up on Tuesday, August 1st, we're going to go through some of the latest MLB trade rumors. And speaking of the Major League Baseball trade deadline, we're going to be live for it right here on Chat Sports. So join us on Tuesday by subscribing and turn on your notifications. Therefore, when we do go live, you'll get that push notification and you can join us in what is going to be a very informative but also entertaining breakdown of everything that transpires during that day. All right, as for the latest Major League Baseball trade rumors here, let's begin first with Juan Soto of the San Diego Padres. Over the last couple of weeks, Juan Soto, one of the more feared young hitters in Major League Baseball, has been talked about as a guy who could get dealt. But according to Bob Nightingale of USA Today, Baseball Insider, he reported this, that as of right now, quote, there has been no hint that Juan Soto is available. Instead, the underachieving Padres are more likely to shop Josh Hader or Blake Snell. For a team that's looking for a really good bullpen arm, Hader's been one of the best in the business for the last several years, and then Blake Snell putting together a really good season this year as a starter who's been dealing. And for San Diego, they haven't been shy in spending money, stacking up their roster, but in a loaded NL West, they are currently in third place as of this recording on Wednesday, and they are massively underachieving up to this point, which is why they might be sellers going into the deadline. As for what Soto's been able to do this year, he's been able to heat up just a little bit over the last couple of weeks, although in July, he's still struggling a bit. The average is up to 262. He was underwhelming to begin the season. 20 home runs, 61 ribbies, as well as 94 walks. Those 94 walks up there with some of the best hitters in Major League Baseball. But for a guy of this caliber, you expect him to play just a little bit better. It was still good enough to earn him all-star nods in Seattle just a couple of weeks ago. And here's my view with Juan Soto. If the struggles continue for San Diego and Soto's unhappy, and that's been the rumor that he hasn't been himself out there, he has 1 year left on his deal. He's going to be a free agent in 2025. Why not deal him? Because I think San Diego would be able to get a lot of good pieces back and not really miss out on not having Soto in that lineup if they're able to get some good players back in that haul if they do decide to deal him away. As for Blake Snell, he's an interesting piece for a team that might need a starter going into the deadline because he's on an expiring deal. You could go all in on Blake Snell for the back half of the year to try to make that playoff push. He's put together really, really good numbers this year for San Diego. And going back to his tenure with the Tampa Bay Rays, he's been getting it done for a really long time. Because the Padres have been struggling in the win-loss column, he's only 7-8, but as I like to say, wins and losses for a pitcher is extremely overrated. What you look at, whip, strikeouts, innings pitch, ERA, and the ERA is really good, 2.61. He's chucked 114 innings so far with only 64 walks. So his precision and his accuracy, his location has been really spot on here in 2023. And then Josh Hader, this was a big move for San Diego last year when they traded for him in that deal with the Milwaukee Brewers, and it just hasn't translated in a lot of wins. Now, Hader's velocity down a little bit from when he was throwing in the upper 90s. I saw him throw a couple of weeks ago against the Philadelphia Phillies. He's still hovering in the mid-90s realm. His ERA spectacular, under 1 at .95. Thrown 38 innings up to this point, 58 Ks, and a whip of 9.47. He's appeared in 40 games. You can use him as a setup man. You can use him as a closer. And the velocity and the ferocity in which he throws the baseball is very, very violent and elite. He's been one of the better relievers in Major League Baseball for the last several years. Now, I do want to tee this up. We've been doing some more Major League Baseball videos. We're live right now for the first time ever doing some Major League Baseball talk. So if you want more baseball chatter, hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Let's hear from the real seamheads out there. To trade candidate number 2, Nolan Arenado of the St. Louis Cardinals. What a career he's been able to put together. ESPN reporting that, what do you know, the Los Angeles Dodgers, who were always aggressive at this point of the calendar year going into the deadline, looking to bulk up that roster to chase another championship, they could be looking at the Cardinals' third baseman. And after making the playoffs last year, St. Louis has been one of the biggest disappointments in baseball. And for the fans there in baseball heaven, I used to work in Springfield, Illinois, a lot of Cardinals fans there, so sometimes my feed is flooded with Cardinals fans. They are absolutely irate with how poor the season has gone, and they might be sellers because of that. Alden Gonzalez with the report here for ESPN on Arenado, saying the Dodgers have long been enamored with Nolan Arenado, 32 years old. They see third base as a need that they'll have to address in the offseason given their present construction. And Nolan Arenado, once again, he's been awesome this year. 287 batting average, 22 home runs, 77 RBIs. But the constant theme with Arenado, whether he was playing with the Colorado Rockies when the hitting numbers were obviously inflated a little bit in the Mile High City, or with St. Louis in baseball heaven, he has been a straight-up stout defender, holding it down on that third base corner. 0 errors so far for Nolan Arenado as of this recording on Wednesday. And what a career he's been able to put together. It really is crazy when you put it into context. An 8-time All-Star, and since his rookie year up to this point, he's been in the bigs for 10 years. He has won 10 straight Gold Gloves. One of the best defensive third basemen of this generation. So let's ask you this now. Which player is more likely to get dealt by the Major League Baseball trade deadline? You can ask us what question we think here on the show, but also we want to hear from you down in the comment section as well. This will be our pinned comment, so if you get hit with that YouTube ad break, just scroll on down and get those votes in. Of course, we can't talk about Major League Baseball trade rumors without including Shohei Ohtani. Jeff Passan, ESPN, speedy recovery to him, putting together his list of teams that are in on Ohtani up to this point. Texas Rangers, Los Angeles Dodgers, Tampa Bay Rays, Toronto Blue Jays, Arizona Diamondbacks, as well as the Baltimore Orioles. And all of these teams, there's a consistent theme here, right? They all have a bevy of prospects that they can include to send to the Angels so that they can start that rebuilding process. If I'm LA, I'm thinking about trading Ohtani, and if I do, I'm trading away Trout as well. I'm just completely tearing it down and starting over in the hopes that you can be competitive over the next few years. But also, the theme outside of the Dodgers, all of these teams are on the precipice of either making the playoffs or making their imprint in the National League or American League playoffs, and they need that one horse to get them over the top. And that's exactly what Shohei Ohtani is. Last 4 years, hitting .299 this year, 36 jacks, 77 RBIs with an OPS north of 1. And then last year, still really good, .273 average with 34 home runs, 95 ribbies, and an .875 OPS. The year before that was when he was the MVP. He was able to notch a .257 average with 46 jacks, 100 RBIs, and a .965 OPS. And in 2020, that's when he was injured with that Tommy John surgery. The numbers down, but obviously 2021, 2022, 2023, the direct indication of how special he is as a hitter. But a reason why the Angels would be able to get a lot back, this guy's a unicorn. He's one of the more unique athletes, not just baseball players, that we've ever seen. And while his numbers, a little bit down on the bump this year in 2023, he's still capable of putting forward what he did in 2022 when he was chucking. 15-9, 2.33 ERA, a whip just north of 1 with 219 Ks. This year, 8-5, 3.71 ERA. The whip a little bit up from last year as well. Still on pace for a lot of strikeouts because of the velocity and the off-speed that he can mix in. And then in 2021, after the injury, 9-2 with a 3.18 ERA, the whip in a good spot, and once again, able to strike out a lot of guys. And his numbers this year, you put them side by side, imagine the impact that he can have. Like, he can play every night as a designated hitter now that that rule translates to the NL, so you don't have to worry about that. If that was the case, Bryce Harper wouldn't be able to play last year because he was playing with a torn UCL and was able to DH and had one of the best postseasons that we've ever seen. 2.99 average, 8-5 on the bump. His WAR obviously really high just because of the imprint that he can have on the game. Just an all-around dominant player who is so unique with his ability to pitch at such a high level, but to hit at such a high level. I don't even think he's comparable to Babe Ruth. I think he's better just because the modern athlete is a lot better, and he's just filthier. I had an opportunity to watch him against the Texas Rangers in Arlington a couple of weeks ago. He went oppo boppo, like 400 plus feet to left center, and was really good on the mound as well. So with Shohei Ohtani, it's certainly a fascinating situation. Do you think he's going to get traded? Do you think he's going to stay with the Los Angeles Angels? That is up for you to guess on right now in the comment section. Just give us a T for trade and S for stay here at Chat Sports. If you're new to us, we love hearing from the audience, so let us know down in the comment section. And if you want to interact with me on Twitter and Instagram, you can find me here. It's the same handle on both social media platforms, at Chase_Senior. Let's throw this in there as well to round out the show. Bob Nightingale, we talked about him earlier with that Juan Soto report. The Tampa Bay Rays engaged in serious talks with the Chicago White Sox for veteran starter Lance Lynn. Two sides have already exchanged names. And Lance Lynn has struggled this year. He's 6-9 with the 6.18 ERA, but you know that he's going to give you a lot of innings pitched. You know that he's a dog. He is not going to fear the big stage. And I think that sometimes when pitchers go to a new destination in the midst of a playoff run, they get that adrenaline rush. The velo goes up a little bit, and they get recharged by the change of scenery. That could happen with Lance Lynn. The Chicago White Sox, no fans go to their games. They've been an awful team. He goes to a team like the Rays who are in the mix, and I think that he could perform better, and Tampa Bay does a great job of developing and working with their pitchers. Thanks for watching our Major League Baseball content. You are all the best. Obviously, we're trying out some new content here on Chat Sports, and you're a real one if you enjoyed what we did today.